Hi there! Thanks for purchasing Unique in the Creek's Sunflower Kit. In your kit, you will get a roll of deco mesh, depending on what color you ordered. This one we are making is the sunflower yellow gold one. You will also get a foam center. Today we're going to use brown for the center of the sunflower. So I'm going to put this aside. We won't need that till the very end. You'll also get 8 pieces of greenery, so green deco mesh, and again we won't need this to the end, so I'm just going to put this aside. You'll also get a bunch of zip ties, 2 clothespins, a string for hanging, and a measuring tool to help cut your mesh quickly. What you don't get in your kit and you will require is a good sharp pair of scissors, and the sharper the better. Glue gun and glue stick. Okay, so right now all we are going to need is our frame and our deco mesh. Now for this wreath, I'm going to use the brown side of the wreathing frame. It doesn't show through the mesh as much as the white side would show through. The white side I tend to use more for the ivory colored wreaths and any white wreaths. So that's what's good on this side. But this side is pretty much for all the other color wreaths. Okay. So on your board, you'll see that there's 2 holes marked. Okay, so 1, 2, and these are your hanging holes. What we're going to do before we do anything is we're going to put our string through our hanging holes, and so that's just out of the way and done. So to do this, what you're going to do is you're going to take your end of your string and put it through one hole, okay, and then take the other side and put it through the other hole like that, and then I'm just going to double knot it. Nice and tight, and cut off the tails. There, now our string is already on there, and we won't be fidgeting through all the mesh to try and find the holes to put the hanger in. It's already done. Okay, so now we can put the board away to the side. And what we need right now is you're going to need your deco mesh, your measuring tool, and your scissors. Okay, so what I'm going to get you to do is unroll your mesh a bit. Okay, and now your measuring tool is 9 inches long, so we are going to cut this whole roll into 9-inch pieces. The easiest way to do this, which I found, instead of using a ruler, like putting a ruler down and cutting each individual piece, is placing this tool, this measuring tool, just place it down like so, and I just kind of bend the end over, and then flip it over. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I usually stop around 6 because I don't have the best scissors with me right now. They're just from the dollar store. So it cuts through 6 pretty well. So I'm going to cut the end off. Okay. And now I'm going to take my clothespins and I'm going to cut it, clamp it there and clamp it at the top and at the bottom, just to hold them the mesh into place. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut down the center of our mesh openings to make the pieces. So you're just going to slip your scissors through and just cut down the side, and it's kind of much easier if you cut about a quarter way down and then kind of lift it up and just keep cutting. Okay, now take your clothespin off the top and clip it over onto the side so it stays. Okay, and now I'm going to do the other side. Make sure I'm cut all the way through. I have. So take my clips off and take my measuring tool out, and now I'm going to clip this and just put it to the side. I'm going to cut some more. Now if you have sharp scissors, like really sharp sewing scissors or something, you can do more than the 6 pieces I did. Like I said, mine are just from the dollar store, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's put a clothespin there. And cut this down. Now it's much better to use really sharp scissors. The sharper the better, because as you're cutting, if your scissors are nice and sharp, less chance of your mesh fraying as much. I'll take this, flip over there, flip this over. And if you're left-handed, you'd probably do it the other way that I'm doing it, the other side. Make sure it's cut right through, and we're all cut through. Take the tool out, and we're going to put this pile into our clipped pile here. Okay, so I'm going to pause it here so you guys can get your mesh cut. And once you're finished cutting all your mesh and you have it in a nice pile, press play and we'll continue on. Okay, welcome back. Okay, so now your mesh is cut. So we are going to start putting it on the board. Now on the board, you will see 3 sets of holes, and there's going to be 8 of them. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Each outer hole of the set of 3 is going to be left blank. That is where you're going to put your greenery, your green pieces in for your leaves. Okay, so we're not going to work with those, but we are going to work with the 2 below it. Okay, so I'm going to start. I usually like to start at the top, so I'm going to start with these 2 here. Now for this wreath, we're working from the outside in, okay? So what you're going to do is we're going to take a zip tie. Now I'm just going to go through a quick how-to with a zip tie, and just in case you don't know how to use one. A zip tie is just a plastic nylon substance, and it locks into place once you zip it. Now the top of the zip tie is really important because there is a flat side to the zip tie and a concave part top of the zip tie. And to use a zip tie, you need to put the end of the zip tie, the tail end, into the flat part of the zip tie to make it work. And once you put it in and you tighten, you'll hear that zipping sound. And you won't be able to, this will not undo, okay? So let's practice on another one, okay? Take your zip tie, find the flat part of the zip tie head, okay? It's hard to see in the camera there, but there's a flat part. You're gonna take the end of your zip tie, put it through the flat part of the zip tie, and you're gonna pull. And you need to hear that. If you hear that, you know your zip tie is good. Now, if you try to do the zip tie backwards, which it's a little more difficult, but it can be done. It's just hard to get it in because there is a little locking mechanism in the head. But should you get it backwards and you go to pull and you hear absolutely nothing, and it won't lock. That just means you have it backwards. So you need to flip your zip tie around, put the end in the head, and zip it. Okay, so now that we got the zip tied down pat, we are going to start with, like I said, at the top with these three. The top hole right here, we're not using right now. It's going to be for greenery, although we should probably do the greenery now. Okay, we'll do the greenery. All right, so let's take our green pieces that you got in your kit. I'm going to take one of my clothespins, and to do the leaves for the wreath, what I show you right now is going to be for the whole wreath. So the green part and the yellow pieces will be done like this. So what you're going to do is your mesh it will be curled. It has this natural curl to it. So it's almost like a U shape. We want that U shape facing down. So we want the curl to face down. Okay. So we have on the mesh, we have a serged edge and a cut edge. What we want to do is turn it so it's like diamond shaped right in front of you, and you're going to take your corner and you're going to scrunch the corner, and we're going to scrunch it all the way to the opposite corner between our fingers and our thumb. So just kind of moving the mesh down with your fingers and thumbs to the middle, and it looks like a bow tie. Okay, so once you got that bow tie formation, you just flip it up. Make sure each of the petals or the leaves look even, which they do. And then I clip with a clothespin. Now, if you have a bunch of clothespins at home, do yourself a favor right now and pause your video and run and get your clothespins, because you could use them when we get to the yellow part, and you can make a bunch of petals all at one time. Okay, so I'm going to demo it again. So again, you're going to take another piece of mesh with its curled. We're going to put the curl side facing down, turning it into a diamond shape in front of us. And I like to use my board for right now because it's slippery. We're going to take the corner closest to us, and we're going to scrunch the mesh all the way to the opposite corner in between our fingers and our thumbs. And then once you've got your bow tie formation, you're going to flip it up. I'm going to take this other clothespin off. And then we have our leaves. So I'm just going to put that to the side right now. So to put our leaves in, when I do my wreathing, when I put my zip ties in, when I put them in, I always make sure that the flat side of that zip tie is facing the ceiling. So when I'm putting it in, I always look and make sure, because I know if it's facing the ceiling, it is going to be in the correct way. Okay. So what I want you to do is kind of lift your board up, and you're going to put your zip tie tail through the hole from underneath your board. Place it down on the table. You're going to take your leaves, your green leaves, one set of it, okay? And you're going to put that pinched middle right there, okay? You're going to put it right in between the hole and the edge of the board. So I'm going to put it right there, putting the flat part of my zip tie on the tail, and you hear that zip, which is what you want to hear. And now you're going to swing your zip tie around to the back, pull it tight, and pop it in the hole. Okay, you can see its head of the zip tie goes right into the hole. Okay, so that's our first green petal. Next, we're going to go to the next set of 3. Get a zip tie. Put it down on the table. My flat side's facing up towards the ceiling. Putting my pinched part of the mesh in the middle of the hole in the edge of the board. Flat part through the tail and pull your zip tie, hearing that sound again. And then again, I'm going to flip this over, pulling tight, and then it pops right into the hole. So we got 2 leaves done. Now we got to make a couple more leaves. So corner to corner, scrunching up in the middle, flipping, making sure your leaves are even. Clothespin, curl down, diamond shape, corner to corner, flip up. Both leaves look even, and clip it in the middle. Alrighty, so now we're going to our next set of 3. Putting our zip tie end going through the bottom up to the top. My flat side of my zip tie is facing the ceiling. Middle is in between the hole and the edge of the board. Hearing that sound, we know we're good. Flip it over and pop it in. Okay, so I'm going to pause here, and I'm going to go around and finish the rest of my greenery. And when you're done, come back and press play, and I'll see you in a sec. Okay, now we have all our green leaves all the way around our wreath frame. So yours should look similar to mine. So now I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over, and all the zip ties heads should be right in the holes, nice and neat back. No need to cover up the back. And what I'm going to do is now snip off, just with your scissors, snip off the tails of the zip ties. Okay, let's set those aside. Okay, now we're ready for our yellow. So the next row we're going to do is the next set of 2. So you'll have 16 sets of holes on the outside ring here. So that's 1 ring, and then these 2 here will make another ring. Okay, and then these further down towards the center will make another ring. Okay, right now we are going to focus on this outer ring. So what we're going to do is basically the same, well, exactly the same thing as we did with the green leaves. Again, we have our yellow mesh, or whatever color you're doing, purple, pink. With the curl, we're going to put the curl side down in a diamond, and then you're going to grab your corner, and you're going to scrunch your corner between your fingers and your thumbs again, right to the other corner, and flip up and clothespin the center. Now, here's where I said if you had more clothespins, it comes in handy. The longer the petals sit in the clothespins like this, the better it is, because they keep that formation, that V-like formation, because this is plastic. So the longer it makes itself almost like a V. So if you have a bunch of clothespins, grab them and make a bunch of petals. So I got 1. I'll make another one here. And if your mesh isn't perfectly cut, it doesn't matter, because once you scrunch it up, you can't tell anyways. So as long as you make sure your two petals are pretty much the same length. That's pretty much all that matters right now. So I'm gonna put 3, and then I'll show you guys how to put them in, and then we'll pause it again so you can complete your outer circle. This one looks a little bit shorter, but that's okay. Okay, so there's 3 petals done. Now I'm going to put them in. So to put the flower petals in, like I said, we're going to use the outer ring, the outer circle here, and you're going to put the tail of the zip tie through the inside hole. So you're going to lift your board up again and put it from the bottom through the hole there. Okay, there, and you have the 2 holes. So the hole closest to the outer side of the board has no zip tie. Okay, so place it on your table. You're going to take one of your petals, and see what I mean about if you leave them clipped, and we only left them clipped for not even a minute, they kind of take the formation of the V, and it makes a nicer petal for you. If you don't have any clothespins, just continue on, because it only like I said, it only takes a minute or so for it to form. So what I've done is I've taken the end of my zip tie, I've gone over top of the mesh, so I put my center of my mesh, the center part, I put it in between the 2 holes. Okay, and I'm going to come over top of that mesh and putting the end of my zip tie through that other hole, and once I got it, I grab the zip tie from behind with my hand, flip it over, and you're going to tighten it, and it's going to pop into the hole. Okay, so it's just popped right into the hole. I'm going to straighten it out. There we go. We got our first petal. Okay, so let's do another one. So I'm going to go to this next hole. See if I can do this upside down better. I'm going to put my zip tie, the end through, and I can feel the flat part underneath. I can feel that the flat part of my zip tie head is facing the ceiling. I'm going to take one of my petals that I made in the clothespin, and I'm going to put the middle section in between the 2 holes. So it's going in between these 2 holes, just the middle, with the petals facing outwards. I'm going to take my zip tie, go over the end of my zip tie, go over top of the mesh, and go through that corresponding hole. And flip it over and zip it tight right into the hole it fits in. So now we have 2 petals. Just straighten your petals as you're going so they're nice and flat and they're staying where they're supposed to. Now the wreath doesn't look full until you're absolutely completed it. So don't fret if you're thinking, oh my gosh, I can still see the board. By the end of putting them all in, you won't see any of the board. Okay, so I'm going to do one more, and then we're going to complete this outer ring, and then we're going to press play again. So I'm going to do another one. I'm going to turn my board around here. So I will do this one right here. So I'm lifting my board up a little bit, putting my zip tie through that hole right there. My flat part of the zip tie head It's facing the ceiling. Taking my other petal. The middle is in between the two holes. The end of your zip tie is going to the corresponding hole. Now, once you get the hang of it, which you will, like halfway around the circle, you can pretty much like just lift up your board. As long as your zip tie flat head is, you could feel it with your fingers, you won't have to keep flipping your board over, okay? So I'm going to zip it because I just did it underneath, and then I'm just going to tighten it, and it just pops in the hole when you pull it down, so it'll automatically pop in the hole. Okay, so what I'm going to get you to do is I'm going to get you to pause it now, and what we're going to do is we're going to complete the outer hole, the outer ring, and once you're done your outer ring, then you're going to press play, and we are going to go work on the inner rings. Okay, see you in a sec. Hi again. Okay, so you've done your outer petals of your outer ring, and now I'm going to get you to flip over your wreath frame. And don't worry about all the stringies and everything. Once you get it all finished, you can take it outside and actually just trim it up with scissors. I tend to pull some of the big ones out. Okay, and now we're going to clip off the ends of our zip ties for that circle we just did. Now you'll see I have an extra few zip ties. I added a couple petals into the inner circle already, just so I would be a little bit of ahead of you guys. Okay, put those in that garbage. Okay, so now we're going to work on this next this next ring, this next circle going around. So they're the ones that are just below the ones we just did. Okay, now if you cut your mesh at the 9 inches of the measuring tool, it would have gave you 40 pieces of mesh. You won't need all 40 pieces. So what I've done is I like to, for this this next circle, is to double up the pieces. You don't have enough to do the this whole circle with a double piece. So what I do is I put one single one in one side and a single one in the other side, and then the rest of these ones are going to get 2 pieces of mesh in one section. So I'll show you what I mean. And it just makes the wreath a little fuller. So I'm going to lift my wreath up. I'm going to put my zip tie end through the inside hole, the hole closest to the center, with my flat part facing up so I can feel that. And I'm going to take 2 pieces of the mesh as it falls all over the floor. And I'm going to put them together. So there's 1 and 2. So if you can see that, got 1, 2, 3, 4 petals. So what I've done is just taken one of the mesh scrunches we made, putting it on top of the other scrunch, so it gives us 4 petals. And now I'm going to put that whole middle section in between the 2 holes where my zip tie is. Make sure they're facing down. All the leaves need to be facing down so they sit nicely on your wreath. Now I'm going to take my end of my zip tie, go through the corresponding hole, lift it up, grab both pieces of the zip tie so it pulls down, and I'm going to zip it. There we go. You want to hear that sound. Pull it and pop it into the hole. Alrighty, so now we've got, flatten these out nice. There we go. So now we're going to go on to this side holes. So I'm going to put my end of my zip tie in. down. Grab 2 more pieces. Put them together. So I just open one and I slide the other one on top of that and put that whole middle in between the 2 holes. Zip tie going through the hole. Lift your board up. Pull both pieces of the zip tie down. Make sure your petals are nice and flat. And zipper tight. Pop it in. Okay, so this one I have is just a single petal. I'm going to go to this one with another double petal. Zip tie in. Open one. See how I meant about the clothespins? If it's sitting a little bit, it totally takes on the shape of the petal. It makes that V. Go through, lift your board up, pull your zip ties down. And the nice thing with this video tutorial is you can take your time. So if I'm going too fast right now, you can just pause it and catch up to me and then press play again. Before I zip them down, I like to make sure they're facing the right way and they're flat and the shape of the petal is nice, and then I'll zip it tight. Okay, so I'm going to stop here and you're going to finish, well, I'm almost done, but you're going to finish that section, that hole. So you only have we have one more section here to do. Well, I have this 2 to do. And then when you're done that section, I want you to flip it over and cut off your tails again. Okay, once you're done that, come back. We'll finish this inner circle and we're almost done. See you in a sec. Okay, we're back and we're almost done. It's almost starting to look like a sunflower, isn't it? So yours should look similar to mine. Now, I've been pulling some of these little strings, but because they drive me crazy. But some of you may like the strings. It makes it a more of a shabby chic look. That's totally up to you. But like I said before in the video, that you can, once you put it on your door, or bring it outside if you want to cut all the strings off so you don't have these little strings all over the place. Because as you can tell, as you're making your wreath, deco mesh is messy. And personally, I hate deco mesh. If you've taken one of my workshops, you know I hate deco mesh, but it does make the prettiest wreaths. Anyways, okay, so what I'm going to get you to do now is plug your glue guns in. I've already done mine and plugged it in. So it's nice and hot when we're ready to put our center in. So do that now. And now we're going to finish off the inner circle. And we're going to do the same thing as we are doing with all the rest of them. But this time we're paying particular good attention to how our petals are going to be laid down, because these petals that we put in this inner circle are the petals that you're going to really see. All this is just filler, even though we want it nice and neat. But these ones are what we're going to take care of, because we've spent all this time making this wreath. You want to make it nice, so you need to take the time. So what I'm going to do, I pre-done a bunch of my petals already with the clothespins. I'm going to put the middle in between the 2 holes. Now this time I'm making sure that each petal is nicely flat and placed nicely on the mesh, or on the wreath, before I zip it in. Okay, so I think that's pretty good. I'm going to slide it to the edge of the table, lift the board up so I can grab the underneath the zip tie, pull down, and zip. Now I'm not going to do it completely tight at this second because I want to make sure that my petal is nice. Now if it's flat against the board and you pull it tight, it usually makes really nice petal there. Now you won't see the zip tie once we put the center on, but you will see the leaves, the petals here. Okay, that one's good. Move on to the next one. Okay, always going in the inner circle of the two. This is a perfect petal without me even fooling around with it. Nice and flat. Put your zip tie over, slide it, lift your board, grab the zip tie. Again, I'm going to zip tie it, but not completely tight, leaving just a little bit of play there, a little room. Making sure my petal is nicely placed on my wreath here. Okay, I'm happy with that. Looks good. And now I'm going to zip it tight and pop it in the hole. Oh, I hate deco mash. Alright. And the outer hole there sticks together. Okay, placing it nicely. The leaves flat down, or the petals. Making sure they're all still going nicely flat. Pulling them out. And taking your time and taking care and, you know, even just pulling every single petal out does make the best wreath. I know when I'm making wreaths for customers, I take care of how I put the petal in and everything, because you want it to be, you're taking all this time to make it, you want, if you're going to do it right, right? So make it and make it nice. Alrighty, looks good. Looking good. Need more space here. And again, this has been in the clothespin for probably about 5 minutes, so it's like already perfectly in a V. So I'm just going to place it in the center. Flat side down. Making sure the petal is nice. Over, around, slide it, lift the board up, pull your zip tie, zip it. Now once you've done a few of these, you can I actually sit in my recliner and make these right on my lap. So once you get the hang of it and you get good at it, it's just like knitting. You don't even have to look. And it's so therapeutic. I have all my ends that I've cut and my zip ties are all mixed together. Okay. Almost done. Woohoo! Okay, I'll flatten this. Make sure this is laying down nice. Center's nice. Each petal is pretty much even. Alright, now I can tighten it. Okay, we have 3 left. make sure. I will be right back. I ran out of zip ties. You guys should have enough. Continue on. Okay, once you're... Okay, welcome back. So now we have all our petals on our flower. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to cut off all the tails and make sure our back is nice and neat still. And all the heads are pushed in to the holes. This prevents scratching on your door. And especially if you have a glass door, you don't want to see a messy back. Okay. We're good. Now, your glue gun should be heated by now. What I need you to do is take your two clothespins, and what we're going to do for this part is I'm going to take my glue gun and I'm going to put just a little dab of glue just on one of the edges. So I'm going to put some glue right on the edge of this petal on the inside, just a little bit. Now don't touch the glue. And push the other edge of the other side of the petal into the middle and just pinch it with the clothespin and hold it there. Okay, and then you can do the next one next to it. So what I'm doing is I'm putting glue, and then I'm going to pinch the petals together just so it closes this opening gap here. It makes the petals look nice and neat once you're finished your wreath. So we're going to pinch with the clothespins. Don't do it with your hands. Turn it around. Find your next one. So we're only doing this for these 8 very center ones. A little bit. Now I'm going to take the first clothespin off because it'll be good by now, and pinching it. Turn it around. Let's find the next one. A little bit. Grab that second one you just put on. It should be dry. Ooh, wants to stay there. Now make sure you're just getting the edges, so you can kind of see the surged edge there, and then pinching the middle. You don't want to pinch the whole petal, the whole bottom of the petal, just the edges. It's just getting the gap in. Oh, this one, let go a bit. You can go back and start squeezing the ones you did because the glue won't be hot anymore, but it'll still be tacky. There we go. Couple more and then we're done that, and then we're ready to put our center in. Dab there, grab this one, yeah, I use clothespins a lot when wreathing. It's a little it's almost like the extra pair of hands. It's my little secret for wreathing. I'm going to make sure you're getting the right 2 petals. You grab in, and there we go. So So you'll just go around and give the center a pinch of each of the petals. Make sure your petals are still flattened down. Okay. Okay, we're ready for our center now. So now you're going to take your center, and it's a foam center, and it's going to go sit on top of the zip ties. So what you can do, the first thing I do is I put just a little bit of glue in front of every circle there. And then in between. And then in center, you can just glob away. Now this is styrofoam, so styrofoam and hot glue go very nicely together. But you have to get it right almost the first time. So you just kind of line it up that the edge of the styrofoam is on the zip tie, and press down hard, and it'll kind of crunch. You'll hear a little bit of a crunch. That's the zip ties going into the styrofoam. Let's press in the middle, all around the sides. Okay, and now we are going to kind of bring these petals up that were in the center that we just glued. I'm just going to bring them up a little bit so you don't see the edge of the center. Alrighty. Wow, stunning. You will have, I have people all the time coming when I do put my flower wreaths on my door. I have people coming to my door all the time asking where I bought them. So be prepared. Move your mesh around, so if you see any little pieces of frame, you can move your mesh around. Now we're pulling the mesh out. And there we go. Beautiful, beautiful sunflower. Now, like I said, I would take it outside and you get your scissors. And the more you touch the mesh, the more it frays. Mesh just, that's just what it does. It frays. And there's no avoiding it. Unless you have a wood burner, you can wood burn each piece or singe it with a lighter. But once you don't touch it anymore and it's just hanging on your door, it tends not to fray. Now I'm trimming it right now with all the little frays. I would suggest you do it outside, like I said before, because it will be all over your house. Okay, so you can take the time and make it nice, fix it up, pull your leaves properly, cut off all your strings if you don't like them. I probably spend a good 10-15 minutes just cutting strings to make sure it's perfect. And there we go. How gorgeous is that? And even the center shimmers. Now when you put it on your door, when you do put it on your door, your green leaves will maybe curled backwards. When you put it on your door, make sure to pull each green leaf out so you do see it on your door, okay? Another thing too, if you have your front door and say it doesn't have a screen or like a glass door, even if it does and it has direct sunlight, to save the coloring of the mesh. Now, anything, the UV light will discolor it. Now, it'll take quite a bit of time to discolor this, as it is plastic as well. But I like to use a clear. Now, this one I have is Krylon, but you can use any clear, as long as it says clear UV non-yellowing spray. So it'll say clear transparent. You guys might see it backwards. I think Rust-Oleum makes them. I get them at Michael's, Hobby Lobby, Walmart, Canadian Tire, wherever they sell spray paint, they will sell the clear one. So it has to say non-yellowing clear and indoor-outdoor durability. Do yourself a favor, if your door is in direct light, do get some of this and spray it all over the place. This also helps prevent any fraying. So once you've got it all trimmed up and everything and you don't want any more fraying, if you spray this on, it will prevent it from fraying. It's almost like gluing the edges. Okay, you don't have to put it on. I've had a flower on the same flower I put on every summer, and it's been up like 3 summers now, and it's still fine. But it is starting to fade. I seen it when I was moving, and it's starting to look a little aged. So I might have to put. Well, I have enough new flowers now that I'll have to put a new one up. Okay, so if you have any questions, please do give me send me a message, and I will help you as best I can. And look at our nice, neat back. And again, thank you so much for purchasing Unique in the Creek. Bye.